Thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I'm Surge T. In this video, I'll be doing my review of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This film I thoroughly enjoyed as much as the first one. The first one very successful. Received Oscar nominations, a lot of acclaim. I think if anything, if it does get nominated again, I could see that happening. But if they don't give it a best film or maybe even a best director, I think Angela Bassett, who has proven over the decades, over as long as she's been an actress, that she deserves accolades for everything that she does, pretty much. This film, she really, really put it out there. I mean, she really just was passionate, playing the role of Queen Ramonda. You know, she is mourning the death of her son. So is Shuri. You know, she's mourning the death of her big brother. She's trying to recreate what do you call it, that herb that she knows can help save her brother. The heart-shaped herb. But then she's too late because, T'Challa dies of a mysterious illness. Her mother tells her. They have the funeral, which was very moving, a very, just something that just really, really touches your heart, tugs at your, heart. And it's very sad because you see Black Panther in a coffin, goes vertical. It's beamed up by a ship. And not only are you saying goodbye to Black Panther, but officially we're saying goodbye to Chadwick Boseman, because that represents him as well, that character. He made that character. That character is him. No one else has ever played him. And if he did, it had to have been a long time ago, and I never saw that version of Black Panther. But it's him. And I'm thinking, who's going to take up the mantle? We find out it's going to be Shuri. She gets a little bit of that herb, she recreates it, and she ingests it, and then what happens is that she becomes the new Black Panther, and then she meets Killmonger in the ancestral plane. She was expecting her mom sitting on the throne. She comes around, and it's him. And he encourages her to seek revenge. Don't be noble like your brother. Pretty much saying he was weak. The thing about him is that I really, really notice everybody has the Wakandan accent. A very noble accent, beautiful accent. I love listening to them when they talk. But he talks like how he would talk in Fruitville Station when he did that movie, and he did Creed. I mean, it's like, couldn't he have tried, or was that part of his character? I don't know, because it just sounded weird. As if Michael B. Jordan just said, okay, I'm just going to, you guys want me for this, so okay, I'll do it. Like the first one, I don't think he talked with an accent. If he did, I don't remember. But I don't think he did. This one, he really just talked like he was just Michael B. Jordan. I'm going, couldn't you have tried, at least? Couldn't you have tried? It kind of was offsetting. Because here's the hell? Oh, Shuri. Man, 1 minute her name went out of my head, and now it's back in my head. But and then she's talking very noble. Her voice is Wakandan. She's talking in that beautiful accent. I love just listening to him. I like watching her because I admit I got a crush on the actress that plays her. So Lititia Wright. Even what do I call it? Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Nakia. I just watched her. I'm seeing her on the screen, and I'm going, this girl is this woman is gorgeous. Like, just look at her. Every time I see her on the screen, I'm just looking at her like, whoa. Angela Bassett's still beautiful after all these years, and a number of the other actresses who are like Danai Gurira, same thing, and so let's move on from that because if I want to talk to them all, I could talk about them all day because they're I just think that they're gorgeous, especially Lupita Nyong'o. But yeah, he meets him, and then he's pretty much just saying just do what you got to do, but take revenge, And then when we see the death of Queen Ramonda, You know, she's in her, seemingly she's protected. You know, she's behind a glass door, and then Namor, with all his power, all his might, is able to just pierce it a little bit. You know, Riri Williams, who is the MIT student who created that vibranium detecting device, even though they're told, what's her name? They told Queen Ramonda at the UN meeting, what do you want to call that, that you kind of revoked your promise, or you went back on your deal or whatever to share your vibranium, and she's just like, and this is what I took from it, and it's kind of like what I took from it is like, why would we give you guys a little bit of it or whatever? You're saying that it's used for weapons of mass destruction, but then yet what makes you think that if we gave it to you, you wouldn't use it for the same purpose or some other nefarious means? I mean, this is how CIA showed what they were about. They had, a vibranium detecting device created. They go out and looking for it. When they find it, what happens? Namor and his warriors, or just his warriors, intercept them, kill both agents who were underwater, because that's their secret. They don't want, even Wakanda didn't know up until the point in this film where they found out that these guys had vibranium too. Even Shuri was like going, well, when it fell to Earth, or however many thousands of years ago, whatever, some of it must have landed elsewhere, because they thought, for all they knew, they thought we were the only ones. I think it was Okoye's General Okoye's saying that. So she goes, I thought we were the only one. She, you know what I mean? And I think she said that, that now changes the. I don't remember if it was her, but it's like, that now changes the folklore and the stories that I heard growing up, and that I've that has been emblazoned in my brain. That's all I know. And now there's other people that have that. All this time they didn't even know about Namor and his underwater people. I like the story for Namor, his background, where he's half human, and find out that it's his mom and father and all them took some herb that they had, and it changed them. I think it killed them first, and then they resurrected, and then they were able to go underwater, but they couldn't stay above water, because their oxygen would run out, and you see them like the first time they rise from the dead, I guess, or they like jump into the water and stuff like that. And the way they stay underwater is just because they absorb the oxygen. That's how they are able to, do what they do. Be as I believe they're Atlanteans. Also, I'm not sure. I think so. So I know, of course, with Aquaman and all that, they're Atlanteans. I think there's a version of that in Marvel as well. I'm more knowledgeable of DC more than Marvel, but I've gotten my toes wet. I've dipped my toes into the pool of Marvel, and especially with the films. I mean, the films have really opened my eyes to that universe, but sometimes I'm still learning. It's like I'm not an expert, but at the same time I enjoy the films, and the films actually open my eyes and everybody's eyes to their world. But then there's that, the story is very, very heartfelt, very poignant, especially when he was telling her that when he had her captive, and he shows him the underwater city and all this stuff that he seems like a guy that is just wanting to protect his people, but he's doing it through nefarious means. Like, sure, he doesn't agree with him. I mean, we're not going to fight with you. He's threatening her that if you don't, we're going to go to war with you. That, and she doesn't take that lightly. And she's very, very proud of her people and proud of Wakanda. Wants to just like him, they want to protect their side of the world, their little corner of the world, if you will. And they don't want nobody, especially the Wakandans, but the Namor and his people, they don't, they got secrets down there. They got vibranium. They don't want nobody knowing about it. But like I said, he ends up throwing those things that it's like, I think they're filled with water or something, where it's like a whole bunch of them, like all ball shaped, and they just explode the where she is, where Queen Ramonda and Riri Williams, she has her behind her to kind of protect her, but then what happens is that all that water gets through those things, ends up flooding her quarters, or what do you want to call it, her thing there, and then she's like sucked into like a drain. It looked like, and underneath there's nothing but water, and you can see Riri Williams kind of knocked out, and then you see Queen Ramonda kind of scooping her up in her one arm, and then she's using her other arm, and I'm going, wow, a lot of she really just a lot of strength, to get her to the top, and then when you see, um, General, Okoye, well, she's Okoye then, her and Shuri are there, they arrive, but then you see they're able to save Riri, but Queen Ramonda is not able to be revived. General Okoye, she's trying to, resuscitate her using CPR, and Nakia's like, she's gone. The queen is gone. The queen is gone. And a very, very just a sad moment, especially because Shuri, she lost her brother, and now she lost her mom. It's like, how much more is she gonna go through? That's the reason why it's like she became even more passionate and pretty much listening to Killmonger. Not that she wants to. She blamed him because he's the one that destroyed the, that heart-shaped herb to begin with. It was the herb was destroyed that she needed to create it. So she was this whole time she's working on it, right? And she wasn't able to create it or make it in time to save T'Challa. So that happens, and then she's just like, as I said, I'm done. They're not going to live. They're going to die. At her hands. She said that she's even going to, destroy Namor and watch him die. They come up with this thing where they know that he is able to be underwater because of, what do you call that? Because of the fact that, I'm trying to remember. Let's see here. So what they do is they have a plan that they, lure him into a ship, separating him from his people, and then they dry him out. They have a heater on and stuff like that, and she's just like, "Oh, you want a drink of water?" Kind of teasing him, kind of like poking him, and stuff like that. And what happens is that we see a fight scene between her and Namor on the desert, and she cuts off because he has these wings or something on his feet, and he's able to float and like that, something like that. It's like it flutters. She cuts him. She cuts him off, in one sequence, and then she's able to seemingly kill him, or he's about ready to die, and then they decide, okay, she decides to let him live, and they have an agreement. To have a peaceful alliance. And then he pretty much tells her in a hushed tone, he goes, "I yield." So that's that. Then we see that I guess his wife was telling him about what happened, and she doesn't seem to be in agreement with it. But then he tells her that, well, when the time comes and the surface people come and attack Wakanda, they're gonna ask us for our assistance, to help them. So it's like, but you can see that he is like gonna keep the agreement. You never know. Who knows, right? So it's almost like there's still a possibility of being an enemy in the future. Who knows what happens in the next Black Panther? I mean, at the end of this film, it does say that Black Panther will return. It's kind of funny because, after, and I'll just jump to like the mid credit scene, because the whole thing does end. It does end very, very, satisfyingly. We see the introduction, like I said, of Ironheart. And the Riri Williams character, the Ironheart character, is going to be back in a future series based on it. Disney already, they announced it and everything like that, which is kind of cool. And And am I gonna watch it? Yeah, because I actually like the character. I think they introduced the character really well. You know, harkens back. It looks just like Iron Man. That's what I thought it was when I saw the trailer. I'm like going, you know, and the people in the comments were saying, you know, oh, that's Ironheart, and I heard of Ironheart. I heard, but I just forgot, you know, that possibility that's gonna, find their way into this film or future films. You know, I wasn't really thinking, and it's kind of cool to see that. Um, so that's that, and then we see how it ends. It ends with Shuri, you know, visiting Nakia in Haiti. She burns her funeral ceremonial robe, and then she finally grieves. And then we had a mid-credit scene where Shuri, she learns that Nakia and T'Challa had a son. And I'm like going, that's what I was thinking, I think, because I was thinking about, because I saw the trailer, but it was actually Namor being born. Because I thought that was, oh, that's a child being born, T'Challa's child. And then, she's sitting in, there on the beach. It was an end credit scene. People were leaving the theater. I'm going, man, why are you guys leaving? Just right after they left, about a minute later, here comes the end, the end credit scene, or the mid credit scene, I should say. And she's sitting there, and then in comes Nakia. She has her son. We didn't know it was her son at that moment. Holding his hand, they walk down to the beach, and Shuri's looking like she's not sure what she's looking at, and she's like, "Oh, see, meet your auntie." Now, it was weird because it's like she said that to her, and maybe at first Shuri was like thinking, "Oh, like a auntie figure, not like an actual aunt." And he was even introduced as Toussaint. That was his name. And even thing about it though is that you know she reveals, well, actually he revealed his name was, he was Prince T'Challa, T'Challa Jr. Shuri even asked Nakia, like, did mother know? Like, did her mom know? And she did. So pretty much Queen Ramonda was keeping that secret because, of course, it would probably place her grandson in danger. And it seemed like when she found out that when he said that Prince T'Challa, T'Challa, Junior, like that, and then that's when it really hit her. You could see it, and she pretty much is saying that I got, I got family. There's my nephew, who probably more likely is the rightful heir to the throne. As soon as he's old enough, he'll be. I'm pretty sure that his character grows up and he's going to be the next Black Panther. You know what I mean? I don't know, because Shuri is now the Black Panther now, and she did an amazing job. I love how she made her entrance. It's the one that we saw in the trailer where she's way up top, and then she flips around and she lands, but she lands right in the middle of a conference or a meeting between the leaders of Wakanda, and I think other nations too, other places too there. So the movie. I mean, I may have been all over the place. I may have not been too descriptive, but at the same time, I was just touching on things that I can remember and things I looked up. I mean, my memory ain't as good as it used to be, so sometimes it's hard to retain stuff. So I can retain a lot, but some I need a little bit of help. You know. But in other words, man, like I said earlier, I enjoyed this film, and it really was a great, touching tribute to, to Chadwick Boseman, a man who is an example of a fighting spirit, someone who doesn't let something that is as life ending and life threatening as cancer get you down. He did so much between 2016 to the moment that he passed away. did a lot of movies, right? Namely, a movie playing a role so physical. Not only the Black Panther movies, but he was in Avengers. He was in, other films as well, right? And he was able to perform. I believe that no one knew. None of his co-stars or anyone knew. Only his immediate family knew. So they probably were like, when he passed away, they probably were like, I didn't even know that. Wow. Like, and he didn't show nothing. The people were saying, I remember interviews like he never looked like he was weak or anything like that. He was like always up for it. I mean, he played James Brown. He played Jackie Robinson, I believe, in 42. Isn't that the movie that he was in, right? Yeah. If I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. But like I said, and then the other one, Ma Rainey's, that, well, I forget the rest of it because it's a long name, the movie. But he received an Oscar nomination, right, for that. Should have won it. I mean, I get it because this has to be the one who gave the better performance. But I didn't watch the movie, but from what I hear, he gave an amazing performance. He won every other award you could win, pretty much, right? And the fact of the matter is he's not coming back. So how come they didn't give him the Oscar? They did that. They did that with Heath Ledger. But this is how it is. I don't follow the Oscars. I never watched it. The only reason why I watched one clip or I was interested in it, why, is because of what Will Smith did. What that crazy fool did. That's another topic for another video that I'll probably never do because I really don't give a what about him. Who cares? But it's like we're talking about Chadwick Boseman. We're talking about Black Panther and his legacy, and it will definitely live on. And they did a lot in his movie to honor him. You see the emotion, the raw emotion from the actors. They weren't acting. When they were doing those scenes, the funeral, the announcement of his death, finding out he died, the character of T'Challa. And that they didn't even need to, they didn't even need to pretend. They didn't need to act. Because sometimes you have to act when someone in your family on screen, a family member who's an actor that plays your father or son or daughter or whatever, if they die, you gotta act. You gotta act like you lost somebody. But they actually lost somebody. They lost Chadwick Boseman. And like the end credit, after, like, I believe it was right before the credits started, and then they said the film was dedicated to our friend Chadwick Boseman. They didn't say dedicated to Chadwick Boseman. They said dedicated to our friend. So that's how deep that relationship is. They consider him family. They consider him a friend. And I can only imagine what they're going through, especially the family. He was married to, and stuff like that. And, who knows what they're going through? I mean, we do, but, we're not living in their shoes. We don't know what they're going through, but they're probably still grieving. They're probably still missing him. They're always going to miss him. I have people in my family, that have passed on, and I still miss them. It never goes away. But there's always ways to keep their memory alive by looking at a photo, maybe listening to a song. I don't know how many times I'm listening to some songs, and reminds me of my mom, reminds me of my dad, who I've gone on, and passed on and stuff, along with other family members, That's a circle of life. That's how it happens. But, we don't want to accept it, but it happens. And one of these days we'll all be gone too. But it's all a matter of what we leave behind, the legacy we leave behind, people can remember us by. And Chadwick Boseman is definitely going to be remembered as one of those actors that we lost too soon, but he leaves behind quite an amazing, film. What do you want to call it? Films. What do you call that? But just an amazing amount of work that he's done and left behind, films and TV shows, if he's done TV shows and other things that he's done. He's definitely going to, we're never going to forget him. And definitely one of the actors that I enjoyed watching in the Marvel films. And I'm going to definitely take an opportunity to look at his other films because I know that he's an amazing actor. And what more can I say? But this movie definitely honored him, and it definitely, my hats off to Ryan Coogler and the rest of his crew, the writers and everything like that, who were able to scrap the original story idea that included Chadwick Boseman and his Black Panther, and they were able to flip it around and do whatever they needed to do to include Shuri as the new Black Panther and everybody else and everything. And it wasn't overly over the top. It wasn't sappy. It wasn't like there's too much. What do you call it? No. It all worked, and I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I think it was great. And hopefully, those of you who see this video, you enjoyed my review. May have been all over the place, but I pretty much touched on a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, and mainly talk about Chadwick Boseman and the legacy he leaves behind with this film and everything else that he's done. Well, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care.